Welcome to this introduction to AXON Ivy Express, a tool for rapid no-code development of business processes. The main concept of AXON Ivy Express is to put an idea of a new business process to life within a few clicks. AXON Ivy Express is based on the Lego principle. The solution provides a variety of predefined building blocks to digitize forms and processes. This way you can quickly enable non-programmers to digitize their processes with ease. AXON Ivy Express is integrated within the AXON Ivy portal. And if I open the dialog to show all available processes, I have the option to create a new Express workflow. Now I can define the type of process and I can give a speaking name to my process. In this case, we want to model a order new business cards process. We can give the process a speaking description and define the process steps. The first step will be to fill out the business cards request. And I can also define who is allowed to start this process from the portal. Since I want everybody of my employees to be available, I pick the user group everybody and add them to the allowed user group. As the next step, I want a manager from my group of managers to review this business cards order. I have various task types to pick from, and in this case I pick the approval task type. I can also define an expiry date for this task, so how long does my manager have to work on this task. In the last process step, I want my business services team to order the business cards. Again, I pick a group for this task and I pick my business services team. I will also define that they have 3 days to work on this task. In the next dialog, I can define the form of the tasks. I have various form elements available, such as an input field, an input area, checkboxes, a radio option button, and a file upload. Since we want our user to fill out information for his business cards order, we give him the option to fill out his name as an input field, and we define this input field as a required field. We also want him to put in his contact information. Here we choose the form element input area, define the label as contact details and give him 5 rows and also mark this as a mandatory field. We also want to give him a few options for his business cards, such as a QR code, and high quality paper. Last, we want him to be able to choose how many cards he wants to order, and we'll give him the option of 25, 50, and 100. Now we have all those form elements in our available form elements field set on the left, and we can drag and drop them into our dialog now. So we want the name input field to be in the header area. We want the option to be on the left, the how many option to be in the right column, and at the bottom he can define the contact details. We also can have a look on how the dialog will later on look like in our preview. And here we can see this is how the dialog will look like. In the next step, we can define what our dialog for the last task in our process will look like. This is the task for our business services team to order the business cards. We want them to type in when they ordered the business cards. For this we choose a date picker and also mark it as a mandatory field. And we want them to paste the tracking number of the package also as a mandatory field. And again, we can drag and drop those form elements into our areas and have a look at the preview how this will look like later in the task. Once I've defined the process flow and all the dialogues, I can now finish creating this workflow. And if I go into my available process starts, I can now see I have a new process start, order new business cards. Now I'm in the first dialog of our defined process and I can type in my name. I can define that I want a QR code on my business cards. I want only 25 business cards. And I can define the contact details to be printed on the business cards. Once the user is done, he can click OK and his task is finished. And the process will create our approval task for our manager. I can now open this approval task. I can see who started the process. I can see the information that was typed in by the first user. I can now add a comment and approve or reject this order. I will now approve the order. The process will continue and we will create a task for our business services team to order business cards. Again, our business services team will also get an email with this task. They can start the task. They can have a look at the information to be printed on the business cards. They can order the business cards and they can fill out when the business cards were ordered and the tracking number of the business cards. And once they are also done, they can click OK and finish also their task. Now the first user that started his order new business cards request will get a final review task where he can see all the information that he filled out in the first place. He can see if his request was approved and the approval comment, and he can also see that the business cards were ordered on 28th of February, and he can have a look at the tracking number and track the package when the business cards will arrive. Finally, he can acknowledge the information and our task and our AXON Ivy Express process is completed. Now that our AXON Ivy Express workflow is completed, it is like any other AXON Ivy workflow or process documented within our cases, and we can have a look at the history of our processed case. I hope this gave you an overview of the possibilities of AXON Ivy Express now included within the AXON Ivy portal. Thank you very much.